On the modern battlefield, there are vast stretches of terrain where the statistical probability of human survival drops to zero within seconds of entry. In traditional military doctrine, a kill zone was a localized point of ambush. It was a concentrated trap built with direct fire and claymore mines, designed to be violently executed and over in a matter of minutes. That concept of a brief, localized ambush is obsolete. The traditional front line has been replaced by a persistent, non-linear dead zone that can stretch up to 10 miles deep. To understand exactly how these modern battlefields operate, hit the subscribe button for Global Warwatch Network, where we break down the brutal realities of contemporary conflict. The integration of drone surveillance and precision-guided area denial has erased the old geometry of war. There is no safe rear echelon anymore. The architecture of this dead zone starts in the sky. AI-enabled drone swarms saturate the airspace, establishing a constant 24-hour surveillance grid over the battlefield. The moment a thermal signature or a squad's movement is detected within this grid, an area denial trap is instantly deployed. Often, the first layer of this trap is the Russian Zemlyadelia system. It uses 122mm solid-fuel rockets to scatter programmable mines from up to 15 kilometers away. Rather than laying a static minefield by hand, these rockets deploy a massive field of explosives in minutes. They rapidly surround an advancing unit, pinning them down and funneling them into a tight, highly restricted geographic box. Once the target is locked in that box, artillery shells deliver dual-purpose improved conventional munitions, or DPSIMs. As you can see in this strike pattern on the asphalt, the sub-munitions burst in the air and rain down a highly concentrated, inescapable net of armor-piercing fragmentation. Stripped of their mobility by remote minefields and blanketed by drone surveillance, maneuvering forces are instantly reduced to static targets. With the enemy immobilized, the execution mechanism is brought forward. The TOS-1A Solntsepiuk heavy flamethrower system, recognizable by its 24 barrels mounted on a main battle tank chassis. Instead of traditional high explosives, the TOS-1A fires a barrage of 220mm thermobaric rockets directly into the remote minefield. When these rockets land, a small initial scatter charge burst open to create a massive, volatile cloud of aerosolized fuel. A fraction of a second later, a secondary ignition detonates that cloud, creating an overlapping thermal front that violently consumes all the surrounding atmospheric oxygen. Because the explosion utilizes the surrounding air as its oxidizer, the resulting pressure wave lasts much longer than a standard explosive. The massive overpressure and subsequent vacuum effect flow like a fluid, expanding into every available crevice. This sustained pressure completely negates standard defensive fortifications. Concrete bunkers and deep trenches offer zero protection against an explosion that actively sucks the oxygen out of the air. To understand why this weapon is so lethal, we have to look past the external destruction and examine the medical reality of blast overpressure inside the human body. Blast overpressure is a crushing physical wave. As it passes through tissues of different densities, it acts like a vice, specifically attacking the delicate hollow organs and the fragile air-blood interfaces of the respiratory system. The extreme pressure differential severely compresses the chest and physically ruptures the delicate alveolar sacs inside the lungs. The tissues tear, filling the lungs with fluid and blood in a massive internal hemorrhage known as blast lung. But the bleeding isn't the most immediate threat. The physical implosion effect of the blast forces air directly from those ruptured alveoli into the surrounding pulmonary bloodstream. These air bubbles, called embolisms, are pumped through the circulatory system. Within seconds, they reach the brain or the heart, causing immediate catastrophic strokes or sudden cardiac arrest. This creates a truly terrifying medical paradox. If a medic attempts to treat an unconscious blast victim with standard protocols, like applying mechanical respirators or performing CPR, they will actively kill the patient by forcefully pumping more of those fatal air bubbles into the bloodstream. The dead zone leaves no room for survival because the weapon turns a soldier's own biological structure and the exact procedures designed to save them into fatal liabilities. Because drone swarms constantly monitor the airspace above these strikes, standard medical evacuation helicopters cannot reach the wounded. Any chance of survival relies entirely on specialized trauma care administered directly on the front line. To even hold ground in this environment, forces must deploy multi-layered electronic warfare to scramble drone control signals and adopt fluid dynamic trench postures that allow infantry to disperse rapidly at the first sign of targeting. The physical defenses require intensive engineering. Look at this modular blast wall. It is precisely positioned with calculated standoff distances to deflect the massive pressure waves of incoming artillery, rather than trapping and amplifying the blast. In the dead zones of modern warfare, superior firepower alone guarantees nothing. Surviving requires the flawless, simultaneous integration of advanced structural engineering, electronic warfare, and on-site tactical medicine. Thank you for watching. If you found this breakdown insightful, please hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe to Global Warwatch Network. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments, and be sure to check out our social media links in the description below.